Jonas at Whole Body Cardio here. In this section I would like to run through 10 common causes of mid-back problems. Obviously the things we do day out and day in going to affect how body is put together. Like every action has a certain outcome. And I put together some common actions that if you do them day out and day in, eventually they're going to put a lot of stress on your mid-back area and can lead to problems. The first one is doing things like dishes or any sort of action with your hands far out from your body for sustained periods of time. That causing your shoulder blades having to stabilize, and that creates lots of tension. The further your arm out, the more force you have around that shoulder blade and the harder the muscles contract. So, for example, say I was doing the dishes. That's a common one because you need to be in the water here. It's sort of making you lean forward with the arms and create lots of tension around the shoulder blades. The way to get around that is obviously don't stand for too long in that position. I realize sometimes you might have to put under the tap or whatever, but other than that, to as big extent as you can, bring your elbows into your side, then you're stabilizing your elbow towards your body, and your shoulder blade doesn't have to work as hard, or the muscles around shoulder blades. Just do your dishes there. And then obviously take frequent breaks, give the muscles a chance to relax, just sort of loosen up your shoulders and give them a bit of break, and then you can head back into it. Right. Our second common cause of mid-back problems is sitting in a sort of hunched forward position, watching TV or reading, something like that. So rather than having that nice tall posture, you're sort of leaning back and just sort of getting your mid-back crunched forward. So you might use this when you're sitting and reading, and the problem is if you do this multiple times a week for 4 hours at the end, it's going to actually change the length of the ligaments and the muscles around the mid-back area, and not allowed to be in a ideal posture. Same if you have a tendency to sort of sink down in the couch and watch TV in this position, once again creating that sort of bent posture in the mid-back area. So the way to get around that, I realize reading can be a bit hard on your arms. To do it from lying straight down here, you're sort of fatiguing your arms, even though this would be a better posture for my mid-back and neck. A better way to do it is to lie on your side, get some pillows put into positions, your head is in a line with the center line on your body, and from here you can just rest your book down on a pillow or something like that, and just read in a good posture. And you can also adopt this sort of posture if you're too tired to sit in the couch while you're watching TV or something like that. Then you can still lie on your side and enjoy a film that way. So some quick good tips for you there. Try them out and good luck. Our next common cause of mid-back problems is having a habit of slouching. When you slouch, you sort of compress your lungs. You're not going to be able to get as much air. Cause extra tension around your mid-back area, and it actually even affects your mood. Sort of it's hard to adopt this sort of posture and feel really happy and on the go. Like that comes with having a more upright posture. So the way to get around it is you can get a lift to your ribcage area by just a big breath in. So from here, I breathe in, naturally lifts me up to a straighter posture, and as I breathe out, just let my shoulders roll back and just stick into a taller, more relaxed posture. That's going to be better for your getting more oxygen into your body, getting a tall, relaxed posture, and it tends to affect your mood as well, get more sort of switched on. So try it out. The fourth common cause of mid-back problems is habitual one-sidedness. If you always use your same side, for example, to carry your bag, over the years that's going to have a significant effect on your posture and the muscle development in your body, and that unevenness around your spine can translate stresses to the spine and cause you problems. So try to even it up. If you have your backpack, for example, if you have the option to put a strap over each shoulder, that's great. That's definitely the best way. And if you don't have that option, you just have something that you need to carry in your hand. Every so often, change it over, even if it feels a bit odd to have it in your non-dominant side to start with, it's important to even up to create a balanced, even body. Next common cause of mid-back problems is having a scoliosis. A scoliosis is a sideways curvature in your spine. So ideally you want your spine to have nice even curvatures from a side position like this, but when you're looking straight from the front to the back, you want it to just be straight. And scoliosis is when you don't have a straight spine. When you're looking from the back, it's more like you can have a S or a C shaped curvature, something like this, and that creating tension patterns in your back. Typically you get some tension in this patch here on the sort of outermost part of the curvature, and same on this side down here. So that's going to cause chronic tension problems in your back. And the reason that scoliosis develops, we think, is that the body pulls the spine out of posture because it perceives it as being straight. It's a fault in proprioception. So proprioception is the awareness of where the body is in space. Like I would use proprioception to put my fingers together behind my back like that. I have my closed eyes. I can't see where my hands are in space. I can't smell them. I can't use sensation, but I use this joint or body position awareness. And that's sort of what get confused when the body develops scoliosis. And if you get to it early, you can fix it. Quite often scoliosis develops in the teenage years, but if you don't address it in the teenage years and you stand crooked, then it's going to grow crooked and actually change the shape of the vertebra. So while in your teenage year, it's really important to get checked for having a scoliosis, and chiropractic can help you with that and get more movement into the spine, so you get more of that joint position awareness information into your brain, so your brain can send you out messages to pull your spine straight. If you leave it so late that you get actually change of a shape to the bones in your spine because it's been growing crooked, then it's too late and there's not much you can do to correct the scoliosis. But you can still give some relief and look after the spine, obviously. So yeah, visit your chiropractor. Our next common cause of mid-back problems is having compression fractures, and they are quite common in today's societies in people. If you see an old lady with really sort of curled forward posture in her mid-back, most likely she has had some compression fractures in the mid-back area. And basically what a compression fracture is, if you have a vertebra here, this front part of the vertebra has imploded on itself. So if you just squashed it together and the force was too big, it would sort of collapse at the front and implode on itself and create a wedge shape like this, and that was sort of causing that curled forward posture. And obviously if the force is big enough, any vertebra would implode on itself and get a compression fracture, but quite often it happens too easy. And the reason that it happens so easy is because the bone has weakened. And there's three common causes that cause the bone to weaken. The first one is not exercising enough and not putting enough load through your spine. Your body responds to stress. So if you load your spine regularly, it's going to grow stronger in this response to that, and you're going to be less likely if you have a small bump or fall to get a compression fracture. The second common cause is if your diet is too high in acid forming products. So if you eat lots of sugar, lots of refined carbohydrates, grains and that sort of thing, that tends to make your bloodstream more acidic. And the way the body deals with that, it leaches calcium from the bone into the bloodstream to neutralize that acid. And when the calcium gets out of the bone, it makes it less dense and makes it weak and more likely to fracture. The third common cause is not having high enough levels of vitamin D. So vitamin D is used in the body to absorb the calcium from our food and transport it into the bone. So if you're eating lots of calcium containing food but don't have high enough vitamin D levels, you're still not going to be able to utilize it. And We can get vitamin D from certain foods like cod liver oil and that sort of thing. Or we can get it in a dietary supplement. Or the third way is to actually get out in the sun. So throughout the summer months and late spring, early autumn, it's definitely possible to get the vitamin D you need from being outside. You just need 10 minutes in the sun in the middle of the day with sort of full skin exposure from the sun, and you get really high, nice vitamin D levels. Throughout the winter and even throughout summer, if you spend a lot of time inside, you might need to supplement your diet with some extra vitamin D. So that's some tips for you to build strong bones for your mid-back and be less likely to get compression fractures in your mid-back area. Our 8th common cause of mid-back problems is having unevenness in the pelvis. If you have a twist in the pelvis, that irritation to the joint surface from being out of position going to cause the muscles around it to really contract and trying to limit movement and irritation. So when the muscles around the pelvis contract, there's some big muscles going from the pelvis here up to rib cage area. And when they tighten up chronically, that tightness tend to pull in the lower ribs. So if you get pain in the lower rib cage area, quite often that can be due to a misalignment in the pelvis. So the way to get around that is obviously to go to your chiropractor, and he's going to be able or she's going to be able to even out the pelvis, and then you will have less of that muscle tension sort of aggravating the lower rib cage area. And one thing you can do yourself is make sure that you don't sit uneven, because that tends to push the pelvis out of position, like sitting on a foot like this, or always crossing the same leg over the other knee, and that's repetitive day out, day in. Shear force in the pelvis can make it misaligned. So some good, nice, quick tips for you. A 9th common cause of mid-back problem is having tight, overdeveloped pecs. So your pecs are a big chest muscle at the front here. When it's tight, it rolls the shoulder forward and in like this. So you can imagine if you, when you're carrying things, or just even the weight of your arm, if that weight always is forward and down here, with time it's going to cause your mid-back to curl forward as well, and cause extra tension around that area. So a healthy position is to have your shoulders in line with your the center of your body, the center line of your body from the side here. And when you're carrying things, then the weight is coming more straight through the spine rather than pulling it forward like that. So things that can cause your pecs to get shortened and tightened is if you go to the gym and always tend to favor things like bench press rather than pulling exercises, or just even from today's sedentary lifestyle. We quite often sit behind a bench or a table and rest on our elbows writing or typing. That's always resting on the elbow creates tension in the pecs to stop you from completely sort of just collapsing forward with the mid-back area and the rib cage area. So that constant tension causes them to get tight and overdeveloped. So to get around it, start to stretch your pecs. Do that easily against a wall like this, or with a bent elbow. And when you get longer pec muscles, they're going to be able to roll back further and get into a healthier position where you're not causing that hunch forward position in your mid-back. 10th and final cause of mid-back problem, and it's lack of movement. Any joints need movement to stay healthy. Movement pumps blood to the area, which maintains and keeps the joint healthy, and it also stimulates the production of joint fluid, which lubricates the joint surfaces. So prolonged periods of sitting or any lack of movement throughout your day going to lead to faster degeneration of your spine. And a healthy spine that's moving well has nice big disc spaces like this, and if you look at the outline of the actual vertebra, it has nice defined edges. But with lack of movement and the starting process of degeneration, you can see how that disc space has decreased in height, and you're also starting to get these bone spurs that sort of bridges the gap between the bones and seizing them out. And that's bad for several different reasons. You're going to lack or decrease your ability to move with this small disc space here in the bone spurs, so you're losing movement, and quite often you also lose posture, so you get a worse sort of tilted forward posture as the disc space decreases and the front part of the vertebra decreases. And the last bad effect is that one of the most important purposes of the spine is to protect the central nervous system, the messages that goes between the brain and the body, and from the body back up to the brain. And as this disc space decreases and the bone spurs comes out here, you get less space for these nerves that goes out in between the vertebra to have a clear pathways. So if you get pressure on it, it can interfere with the messages, and that's really damaging for your overall health. So I hope you gained lots out of this 10 short tips of how to look after your mid-back area. And I hope you find some good habits that you can implement to everyday life to make sure that the outcome for your back is one of health and movement, and not one of degeneration and lack of movement and nervous system interference. So good luck with it.